Stay tuned to the end of this one because we're going to make sure that you don't sink your boat. And we're going to talk about alternatives to this technology that might save you time, money, or a whole lot of water damage. Somewhere under the cockpit of a conventional inboard sailboat, there's a rotating steel shaft passing through a hole in the hull. That's the plain truth of it. The engine is inside the boat. The propeller is outside the boat. Mechanical power has to cross that boundary somehow. And on a traditional shaft drive sailboat, it does that through a propeller shaft. So now we have a problem. We've built a watertight vessel, then drilled a hole in it below the waterline, then passed a spinning shaft through it, and then asked that shaft to turn thousands of times without bringing any seawater along with it. The device that makes that possible is usually called a stuffing box or a packing gland or a shaft seal. It's not glamorous, it's not the sort of thing that sells boats at a boat show, but it is one of those quiet pieces of marine engineering that matter far more than it seems. If it's ignored or misunderstood, over-tightened, badly installed, or allowed to age beyond reason, it can damage the shaft, it can flood the bilge, and in the worst case situation, it can sink your boat. A stuffing box is not really a marine invention in the narrow sense. It's an old industrial solution to an old industrial problem. Long before modern cruising boats, engineers had to seal moving shafts or rods or valve stems, pump shafts, and steam machinery. Anytime a moving part passed through a chamber containing water, steam, oil, or pressure, there had to be some method of controlling leakage while still allowing movement. The answer was packing. You made a chamber around the shaft or rod, you filled it with fibrous packing material, and you compressed that material around the moving part with a gland or a nut. The packing might be flax, hemp, cotton, or another fiber-treated material with wax, grease, tallow, graphite, or some sort of lubricant. And this is where the name comes from. It's a box that's stuffed with packing. The same basic idea appears in old pumps and old steam engines, valves, industrial machinery, and water-moving equipment that goes back centuries. The marine stuffing box is simply the nautical version of that idea. It solves the problem created by the inboard engine and the outboard propeller. How do you let the shaft rotate through the hull while keeping the water out? And that's why a traditional stuffing box feels almost primitive when you look at it. In principle, it's compressed, lubricated cord around a spinning metal shaft. A lot of durable marine engineering is simple like that because it has to be inspectable and repairable and understandable in poor conditions by tired people with imperfect tools. A traditional marine stuffing box is usually a bronze assembly threaded around the shaft. It has a packing nut and a lock nut. Inside the packing nut are rings of packing material. In older installations, that material was commonly waxed flax. In newer repacks, it might be a synthetic or graphite impregnated packing. The material has improved, but the principle has remained the same. The packing is compressed around the shaft tight enough to restrict water, loose enough to allow rotation. That balances the entire point. And this is where many owners misunderstand the system. A conventional stuffing box is not necessarily supposed to completely keep water out while the shaft is turning. In fact, with traditional packing, a small amount of water is normally required for lubrication and cooling. The shaft is rotating inside compressed packing. Without some water passing through that, the packing will overheat. It'll harden or lose its lubrication and begin scoring the prop shaft. And you don't want to have to buy a new prop shaft. So the goal is not simply to stop every drip. The goal is controlled leakage into the bilge and controlled temperature. At rest, that stuffing box should leak very little, and on many boats, not at all. Under power, when the engine's spinning and the shaft is turning, a slow drip from traditional stuffing boxes is generally normal. The exact drip rate depends on the shaft or the packing material, installation, and adjustment, but the concept is more important than whatever the number is. If water's pouring in, something's wrong. If the box is bone dry under power and it's running super hot, something's also wrong. A stuffing box that's too loose fills the bilge. A stuffing box that's too tight will damage the shaft. Both conditions are failures of adjustment. That's the first practical lesson here. A traditional stuffing box is not judged only by water, it's judged by water and heat. So get one of those little temperature guns. After running the boat in gear, the packing glands should be checked carefully. Warm is normal. Too hot to touch is not. Heat is evidence that the packing may be overcompressed, poorly lubricated, worn out, or rotting on a damaged section of shaft. Maintenance is straightforward, but it rewards care. When the old packing is worn out, the stuffing box is repacked. The old packing must be removed from the nut, not merely crushed farther into place. New packing is cut into individual ringed sizes to the shaft and gland. The rings are installed one at a time with their joints staggered around the shaft so the seams don't line up. Usually 3 rings is common, though the exact number depends on the gland that you buy. More is not automatically better. Overpacking can make adjustment difficult and promote overheating. Then the packing nut is tightened only enough to achieve the correct drip and temperature. After that, the lock nut is tightened against the packing nut to hold the adjustment. And that lock nut matters. If the packing nut backs off, the leak can increase. This is not a drawer pull coming loose in your galley. This is a fitting that's attached to a below waterline opening in the hull. The lock nut is part of the safety of your boat. The hose matters just as much. Many traditional stuffing boxes are connected to the shaft log by a short length of heavy hose. That hose lives in a miserable environment: heat, moisture, vibration, age, oil, engine room grime, and the shaft movement itself. If the packing leaks, you may get a manageable drip. If the hose fails, you may have a serious problem. So a proper inspection is not just a glance at the bronze nut and a check of the heat. Look at the hose. Is it cracked, swollen, soft, oil-soaked, distorted, or old? Is it the correct marine hose for the application? Are the clamps stainless, proper sized, and in good condition? Are there 2 clamps where there should be 2? Are they positioned correctly? Are they corroded? This is not a place for general purpose plumbing hose or tired hardware store clamps. The hose and clamps are part of the hull's watertight integrity. The shaft itself is another common source of trouble. If the shaft is grooved or pitted or worn where the packing rides, the gland may never adjust properly. It may never seal properly. New packing can be destroyed by the damaged shaft surface. The owner then tightens the nut, repacks again, tightens again, and never solves the underlying problem. At that point, the issue might be shaft condition, alignment, or the position of the gland itself, not the packing. Now, you might be thinking, this is all fine and good on old Dutch windmills and water wheels, but surely we've made better technology than this by now, right? And sure, sort of. Dripless shaft seals change the conversation a bit. A dripless seal is a modern alternative to that traditional stuffing box. Instead of allowing a controlled drip, it's designed to seal the shaft entirely without routine water leakage into the bilge. So if you want a dry bilge, this is going to perk your ears up. There are different designs for this. A common mechanical face seal uses a stainless rotor fixed to the shaft and a stationary carbon face held against it by a rubber bellows. The polished face creates the seal. Other designs use lip seals around the shaft. The advantage of these is obvious. A dry bilge is cleaner, it's less smelly, it's easier to monitor. If your bilge is normally dry because you don't have this problem, a new leak will announce itself immediately. If your bilge is always wet from a conventional stuffing box, then other leaks can hide as background noise. A properly installed dripless seal can be excellent, but dripless does not mean maintenance-free. That's the critical distinction. A dripless seal may have bellows, clamps, set screws, O-rings, lip seals, water injection lines, venting requirements, or replacement intervals. The bellows ages. Clamps corrode, set screws have to be done correctly. Some systems require water flow in a vent line to prevent heat and air entrapment. So the comparison is not old, bad, new, good. The comparison is simple versus specialized. A traditional stuffing box is inexpensive, widely understood, field serviceable, tolerant of ordinary maintenance. It's also wet, adjustable, and capable of damaging the shaft if you don't do it right. A dripless shaft seal is cleaner and usually drier, may reduce routine adjustment, but it depends heavily on correct installation, access, periodic inspection, and manufacturer-specific service. Both systems can be excellent. Both can be dangerous if you ignore them. The best system is the one that's properly installed, accessible, documented, inspected, and understood by the owner. And that brings us to saildrives. A saildrive eliminates the conventional prop shaft passing through the hull at all. Instead, the engine drives a vertical or angled leg like an outboard that passes through a bigger hole in the hull, with the propeller mounted directly to the lower unit. This is common on many modern production sailboats and especially common on catamarans. Builders like saildrives because they simplify the installation, reduce shaft alignment problems, allow more flexible engine placement, and can produce a smooth, quiet drivetrain. For the owner of the boat, the appeal is pretty big. There's no long shaft, no traditional stuffing box, less vibration, excellent thrust, more interior flexibility. But sail drives don't abolish underwater maintenance. They convert maintenance to something else. Instead of a small rotating shaft passing through the hull, you now have a larger drive leg passing through a bigger hole. That opening sealed by a diaphragm or gasket system. The diaphragm has a service life. It needs inspection and eventual replacement. Depending on the manufacturer, the age, or insurance company, diaphragm replacement can become a major maintenance and survey issue too. Then there's the lower unit. It has oil in it. If water gets past the seals and into the sail drive oil, the oil will turn milky. That's a big warning sign. Water in the oil can lead to corrosion and lubrication failure. Corrosion's another major problem too. Many sail drive legs are aluminum, and aluminum underwater surrounded by stainless and bronze and shore power and neighboring boats and imperfect marina wiring, it all needs careful protection. Correct anodes matter. The water type matters. Salt, fresh, brackish, they all call for different anode materials. Your anti-fouling matters too. Copper-based bottom paint can be destructive on an aluminum drive component if the wrong product's used. So a sail drive is not better or worse in some universal moral sense. It's just a trade-off. You lose the stuffing box, the shaft log, and long shaft alignment problems. You gain a diaphragm and gear oil checks, lower unit seals, corrosion control, anodes, and paint compatibility. That's just a practical point. When looking at a conventional shaft drive boat, inspect the stuffing box or shaft seal. Look for leaks, heat, shaft scoring, hose, age, clamp quality, service records, and access. When you're looking at a sail drive boat, you want to know about the drive leg, diaphragm history, when was it changed, oil condition, anodes, corrosion, paint compatibility, and any records they have. Don't let no stuffing box become nothing to inspect. There's always something to inspect. And speaking of something to inspect, did you see this article called Protecting Against Boatyard Fire? Tight boat storage, lax gasoline handling, and outdated practices can turn a small blaze into a devastating boatyard fire. Learn what owners can do to prevent them. This is a great read if you have a minute. Very interesting stuff. I'll leave a link in the description for you. And while you're here, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out, but also it lets YouTube know that you like sailboat videos, so they'll show you more of them. How cool is that? And hit subscribe so I can see you again next time.